You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at paceradio.net.
That wasn't intentional. Holy, this is actually some really decent legal cannabis that I've got. It kind of kicks me right in the butt.
It sounds like it.
Well, I will say this is the second doobie of the day because I did smoke one with my husband when I got home from work. But
yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
actually, I got the container this time. This stuff is called Gluranagatin. Gluranagatin. Something like that. Glue orangutan? Yeah, maybe that's it.
Oh, I can't read it.
Yeah, it's a tripod, but it's a cross between OG Kush and GG4 and Afghani.
Oh, well, it's got some good lineage there. Yeah. Well, it looks like it was doing its job for you.
Oh no, it's nice. Like I said, I was just like, didn't plan on starting the show with but I guess kind of how appropriate.
Well, yeah. Well, usually you've got you're rolling a joint or whatever when we get started, and it looks like you just got it lit.
It wasn't a chokeable. I wasn't planning on choking myself like that, but yeah.
Woo. Right. So what's new and exciting? You got an interesting guest tonight. Been around for a long time.
Yeah. Actually, I posted that I met her 13 years ago.
13 years ago. Wow.
Ottawa. Yeah, it was 13 years ago that we were in Ottawa.
Wow, it has been a long, it's been a while, eh?
Right.
Geez, I guess we're just getting older, eh? That's the worst thing about it.
I keep thinking it's longer than that though too, but I think it was longer than 13 years ago. It was 13 years ago that it was in my memories, but it was 2012, so that's more like.
That's 12 years ago.
2012, yeah.
Yeah.
But Taven was a baby, and he's 14. So yeah, it was 13 years ago.
Well, he'd still be a baby. Well, he wasn't a baby. He's toddler, I guess, at 2, right?
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, by then he's telling you what to do.
By then he was pointing fingers. But I actually posted a picture of us we were in the green room on Parliament Hill, and we had done a press conference, and Alison was one of the speakers, along with Russell Barth and Adam Greenblatt and Christine Lowe, and we were all there. And
all there, eh?
Also there too, So there was a bunch of us that all rolled in there. Debbie Stoltz-Giffen. I can't even name everybody because Caleb was there. Caleb Hubble, Pipes, Gary Pallister, which just has been his birthday the other day, and he's no longer with us. So there's so many people, right?
And usually before we get started with our guests, we talk about some of the stuff that we've done over the last week, and I'm not going to discuss what I did over the weekend because I'm going to do it with our guest.
Because you guys were together.
We were together. That's right.
I brought that on my show. I did. I mentioned that on Monday, and I actually brought the pictures up on my page, shared the screens, and showed some pictures. You weren't there. You weren't in the pictures because you must be taking pictures.
I was taking pictures, but I am in some pictures. I'm in a picture. I used one of a picture of me that was compliments of Gary Lynch. He took a picture of me out there with Alison.
Excellent.
So instead of just talking about it, let's bring her on, right? So Let's introduce our guest. Who said Alison. She's been in the cannabis community for decades. She was there when the medical cannabis program in Canada first got started. Now she's fighting for access to magic mushrooms or psilocybin, however you want to say it. And been going to the Global Marijuana March since the beginning, 25 years ago. Welcome, Alison Myrden, to the Pace Radio Show. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Al. Hi, Tamara. I'm having a bit of a silly day, but hey, I'm happy that I'm here.
Good.
How are you guys?
Not doing too bad. It's just we're patient. So we have our ups and downs, and we have our good days, and we have our bad days.
Hey, 100%, honey, 100%. It's good to see you guys. You both look great.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's good to see, as I mentioned, that we got to see each other over the weekend down there in the big smoke downtown doing the Global Marijuana March. It was good to see you down there.
You know what? I still can't believe it was 25 years ago that 5 of us started that. Stephen Bacon, Neve Tapiero, Dom Kramer, myself, and Gary Lynch walked the streets of Toronto, and I had a big sign 25 years ago saying legalize cannabis globally. And we screamed, and I'll tell you, the following year they said there were over, I've heard 20,000, but I've also heard 50,000 people who joined us. So all I know is that people want change all around the world, my friends.
Oh, yes. And, today I went through because we broadcasted the march. And during the actual march, I went up to people and I asked the question why they were marching. I asked Tamara that during one of the broadcasts that we did. And then I took that little clip and used that as a promotional thing. So I've gone through it and took out those little parts and created a video, and I'm hoping to be able to post it tomorrow. I was trying to get it done today, but unfortunately it didn't get finished. So I'm going to get it done tomorrow, hopefully, and get it posted. And a lot of the people that I talked to, I'm going to say at least probably 90% of them, one of the first things they say that come out of the mouth is the fact that it's got to be legal globally.
As we've been saying, I did my first interview, one of my first interviews with Matt Myrna on View Magazine over 25 years ago, talking about exactly that. We need to get out there. We need to have a voice. And as a clump, we're heard.
Yeah. These rallies and protests, they're all part of getting the cannabis legalization. There's the medical end of things that been fighting towards the government. I sort of look at it as an octopus, different coming at it from different ways with all different arms in order to be able to end prohibition. And the protests are all part of it, and they're important. They allow the people who to get out there and voice their opinion.
You know what? Again, and it makes it so that every single person can see themselves represented, because they're all walks of life of us who come out to fight these things.
That's right.
Again, I remember 25 years ago, Al and Tamara too, there was nobody in this area who was in a wheelchair who was in the marches. I didn't even think about it when I went out and started the marches until I realized when people were gathering together to go in the march, I was like, all wheelchairs up front. Oh, wait, I'm the only one. But it's so good to see now, because I want people to know, I don't have good health. I just push myself to do things because I know it's better for me. I want to be pushed outside my comfort zone. I want to do something that I haven't done before, I want to make sure that I'm heard doing. So whether or not, again, way off topic, I was saying to Gary the other day that one of the protests and festivals we were at, I was dancing in my electric wheelchair and I was just sipping around in circles like I've always done. I just automatically did that when I got one 30 years ago. So all of a sudden, this man comes at me and he goes, "My God, I've been watching you for 15 minutes. He said, "My brother and his wife told me they were going to take dancing lessons, and they're both in wheelchairs, and I couldn't figure out how until I watched you for the last 15 minutes." And I said, "That's what we're here for, my friend, to represent."
Yeah, exactly.
Everywhere.
And the marches, making it legal globally, that includes the medical land and
You better believe it.
Yeah, access, right?
Well, the
Yes,
problem
sir.
is, we've always wanted like drug reform, right? And right now
Always.
we're with decriminalization of hard drugs and how the project has become harmful in British Columbia. And let's be clear and honest here. There are not meth heads blowing smoke in nurses' faces and sitting in waiting rooms in Vancouver smoking meth. That's not happening. That's a lot of right-wing rhetoric. But again, the project needs to be revamped. It does.
It does.
Again, they took away safe consumption sites. So when you take away something that they need to go hand in hand,
where are they going to go?
Where do you expect them to go? So again, drug reform, again, we wanted to see all drugs decriminalized. Now we're seeing that the pilot project that Toronto might be trying to get might be canceled because of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's new
today.
There was actually, I think I saw.
So when Vancouver asked for exemption, the federal government had to say, no, it has to come from the province. So that's when Vancouver went to EB or to the ND, to our government here in the province and asked them for the federal government for exemption. And that's how Vancouver got their exemption. It was because of the way the arms of jurisdiction go. So in Ontario, the same thing's happening. Toronto would like to do the same pilot project where they could decriminalize small amounts, but it has to go to the province. And Ford is as
that's the problem.
Oh,
that's
I'm not even
right there.
Oh my gosh.
We're having issues here in British Columbia because the usage out here because there's no safe access either. Let's be clear, there's nobody handing out drugs for free here. If you're getting any safe access, you have to have a prescription from a doctor. And doctors aren't hanging out cannabis prescriptions, never mind prescriptions for meth and crack. Okay? So it's hard enough to get a prescription for cannabis, never mind meth and crack. So again, there's no safe access. People are still dying of toxic drug poisoning. Why it's so bad and the project is going shit south because there's no safe access and no safe consumption sites. So they didn't do the project properly. It was done haphazardly with decriminalizing without the programs to go hand in hand that are needed. And now it's fallen apart. And now here we are backpedaling and the federal government's having to change legislations of the province. It's a mess. It's a bloody mess.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Honestly, I was really looking forward to the news being positive. I've been following this whole thing. And again, today, I just heard today that it broke on the news that it wasn't going to be wasn't going to go forward in British Columbia. And that's really upsetting for me because I've been fighting for this for over 30 years.
We had decriminalization for quite a long time.
Did they not just ask the federal government only to remove the public use of it? But if you got caught with the substance, you're still covered under decrim. They don't want you using it in the park.
No public.
No public.
But you know what? What if you're houseless? Where are you going to go? Exactly. Where are you going to go? It's so unfair.
Public consuming, right? And it's exactly what it is. It's the houseless that are consuming in public because there's nowhere for them to go. Right?
Exactly. So it's a vicious circle.
Exactly. But there's no safe consumption sites for them to go to be safe to use. And, it's. Yeah.
But this is why I've been fighting for over 30 years for full legalization of every single substance out there. Because the harder the substance, the more deadly it is, the more it has to be legalized and regulated. And somebody has to take control of it. People, this is like the Wild West. This is ridiculous.
Okay, so cannabis has now been regulated, and we've got licensed producers and microcrafters producing it. The problem is, who are we going to get legally to produce crack cocaine, heroin, meth? and all these street drugs. Who's going to produce that legally? So the government or whoever has to figure out who's going to bring
they
cocaine
sure do.
into Canada. Like who's going to bring the legal heroin into Canada, and then they have to get
it's already here. I've had it. I've had heroin prescribed. I have it on prescription in every hospital that I go to. I have heroin on prescription, ketamine on prescription. Right. I can't even remember all the things that I've fought for it and these are the things that have to be made available to everybody in need. No more putting up walls in front of us.
The stigmatization of people using in parks.
Exactly.
That's the problem. Because addicts, when they're that far into the disease, it's unfortunate. They do not see the world around them as being anything but their own, right? They get into a tunnel vision, right?
Most
and
definitely.
Don't care. They don't care if they're
caught up.
Part,
Most
right?
definitely.
They don't care about their own hygiene. So unfortunately, when they're that far into the disease, there's no reasoning, no logic, right? So that's the unfortunate problem with this disease.
But again, all the more reason to legalize and regulate and get these problems taken care of. That's exactly why I fight what I fight, Tamara. This is so upsetting.
You've been doing it for a decade, because I know when you're a host here on the program, you talked about that. You talked about it all the time.
I've been doing it from the beginning for over 30 years. I wanted to legalize and regulate all drugs.
Like I'm all for it too. Like I want to see all. I'm all for it.
This is why, Tamara.
For law reform, right? I wanted to see the laws changed. I wanted to see addiction become a medical issue rather than
exactly
right.
Exactly.
Where we're at. Same with cannabis. Cannabis is a medical issue, not a justice issue. People shouldn't
exactly.
Right?
It's not a criminal justice issue. It does not belong in a court of law at all.
And people with addiction disease do not belong in jails.
No,
that's absolutely not a place for them. But again, we go back to the cannabis taxation, and they're using that for cannabis addiction. When
I've heard,
like let's build treatment centers with that money. I'm totally down for that, but let's put some real addicts into it, right? Let's use the disease word and use it
and get them there without arresting them.
No kidding. Without involving the law.
They're not breaking the law. It's not illegal to consume drugs in Canada.
Exactly.
It's illegal for you to possess them, and now it's decriminalized for cannabis. It's legalized, and for hard drugs in British Columbia, it's decriminalized. So we've gotten to the point where we've got legalization of cannabis, we've got decriminalization of small amounts of hard drugs. Now we have to.
We're getting there.
To go hand in hand to get that disease under control, so we can have functioning addicts like they do, lawyers and doctors and people that use, and they can still be productive, citizens, right? Like that. It happens.
Can I just change the subject for 1 second?
Yeah, I know. We
also, well, it's okay. That was very cool, Tamara. I really appreciated that. But what I was going to say is, I also, as a patient, as you both know, I'm fighting for psilocybin as medicine, and there is some news coming down the pike. So as far as things go, we're not as desperate maybe as we were a year ago. So
I can, because I do the news twice a week, I see what's going on. With Theracell. I can't pronounce the
Theracell. Yeah, Theracell.
And their court challenges and stuff
I'm
like
with
that.
Theracell.
Oh yeah,
I'm with Theracell.
And I'm really glad to see, because it's a big fight, and you've got a company that's doing all this research and stuff that's going to court, backing using this challenge. Whereas back with Terry Parker, what company was standing beside Terry Parker?
Yes. But plus too, I want you to know that I have a separate lawsuit going through a human rights lawyer named Nicholas Pope. And Nicholas took me on last year. When my lawyers had approached him because we were at a dead end. We couldn't go any further. The government had already denied me access to psilocybin as medicine and told me that there were other avenues I could go down. And I was to myself, like, no, I've tried everything. So we found this lawyer, Nicholas Pope, in Ottawa. And Nicholas just recently on May 7th fought a case for a fellow similar to me in so much that he fights cluster headache, which is one of the things that I also fight. I have something called bilateral trigeminal neuralgia, which is driving me insane right now, as well as cluster headache. But cluster headache and both trigeminal neuralgia and cluster headache are the worst pains known to medicine. And in your face and head, but also there's no cure for either one of them. So what I did over 30 years ago was I branched out on my own because doctors weren't listening to me then, and I found psilocybin 30 years ago gave me relief. What I didn't know was up until 2017 when I increased my dosage to 5 grams at one time, which I'm told by a lot of media that I did interviews with then is the hero's dose, which I didn't even know. Anyway, I now take 10 times the hero's dose throughout the day in a 24-hour period to alleviate this absolutely silly pain to have in my face and head all the time. But that's what my lawsuit's about. And because I am such a large amount, Al and Tamara, that's why the government is denying me access. They do not want psilocybin legalized at all for any reason, although they've done it for a number of people in Canada. But those people have been really, really small amounts. And now that I'm coming out with this huge amount, the government, again, is going to fight me every step of the way. So I just want you to be aware that after May 7th, we'll be able to get into the details of my case a little more, and I'll be able to talk a little more. Well, as soon as a ruling comes out, because again, my lawyer was in court with another client on May 7th. So as soon as that ruling comes out, we'll move ahead with mine. Yep.
Yesterday.
So,
Yeah.
Now,
Just a quick comment. The legal route that you talk about and applying and all that is the SAP, the Special Access Program. I think it's probably worded right, SAP, because it's so slow. It's just drip and no.
Although I must say that once your application for SAP is accepted, you are supposed to have an answer within 24 hours.
Oh.
Then why are some people waiting? Like the one fellow, he waited over 500 days, and he was actually already in the program. Yeah,
but that's like me. Again, it's because they take that long to wait and tell us, and then they deny us. And then, but until you're accepted, that's the thing. It depends on the issue at hand and the person involved and the circumstances. So that's why Theracell is fighting for those of us who are taking longer to get answers. That's not fair.
Your grammage that you're asking for, as you mentioned, 50 grams. I'm sure, I think probably in an earlier discussion we might have had, you probably learned something from the Terry Parker case, being that they legalized him to be able to access it, but there was no source.
You're right. Darn right. So what I'm doing actually involves getting a source from the government. And I can't really say a lot about it right now, but I will soon, again, because it's the only legal supplier right now for the government of Canada, a company called Filament, who is now doing macro doses, of cannabis in a pill.
Yeah, I think I've reported they've been doing some
psilocybin in pill. So that would be better than me swallowing 5 grams of mushrooms every few hours, which I don't really mind because it does work, but it sort of fills me up. I don't have much room for anything else to eat.
It was, some people can get frustrated with, just taking a pill version of things. but sometimes there is,
This is natural, though. This is 100% natural because I
Right.
fought again in my lawsuit. I do not want anything more
Yeah,
synthetic in my
yeah.
life.
And you're like, it's just like cannabis can be
Nope.
swallowed in a
Yep.
pill as well, right?
Yep.
Being
But only
natural.
natural. The only pill I swallow with cannabis is cannabis oil in a capsule.
There you
So
go.
that's what I'm doing. Hopefully with psilocybin is that I'm going to swallow whole psilocybin in a
Yeah,
capsule as well. So
yeah, yeah,
again, it's natural. That's what I'm fighting
yeah,
for.
yeah,
So
exactly.
If it works, right? If it works,
you better believe it. Yep. And I found actually cluster headache again is so bless you, sweetheart, is so excruciatingly painful that people like me who have a 24 hours a day get a little fed up at times, right? So
Yeah.
again, that's why I went down the road of trying pretty much everything. I have been through raw opium, heroin, cocaine, all through my doctors, those three, all
Okay.
doctor prescribed or doctor authorized. And then
Hmm.
I went the route of cannabis and psilocybin as far as natural things go. But again, before that, many of you know I had 32 pills at 2,000 milligrams of morphine every day of my life, plus heroin and cocaine for years through doctors. So I don't want
Yes.
any of that anymore. I want to have
No.
natural things. And I'm on now, I think it's 6 different pills. Yay! Rather than 32. So I'm getting
Yes.
younger. I'm getting younger and reducing my pills as I go.
right?
There you go.
That's
Exactly.
that's
And the
the
thing
best
is, like,
way to think about it, right?
Right.
whatever you're doing is working. 30, all these years dealing with this condition, like basically, watching you, especially, during this interview, and you doing that, and you're squinting of your eyes and your face. That's
Right.
like to us like a light going off, indicating to us that you're dealing with pain.
Whoppa.
Right?
Ah, darn. I was hoping you
Yeah.
guys couldn't pick up on it. Just kidding.
I mean, it's hard to,
I can't
again,
hide
like
it.
you just keep pushing through, right? And we all,
Yeah.
and that's what we all do that.
Hey, I have a little joke that I've had all my life since I've been diagnosed with
Okay.
MS that I don't really have MS. I am a mess. MESS. It's a lot easier to explain.
It is. That's totally, yeah, it is. Totally.
Sure is. Sure is. Yeah. No, it's been obviously all these years. It's been a nonstop battle for you, trying to get access, whether it was to cannabis or whether
Yeah.
to under the Section 56. People might be wondering, well, how did she get access to legal cocaine or the legal heroin and stuff?
Yes.
And that's the Section 56. And I think there was just an
Was
announcement.
decades ago.
What
I'm
was that?
sorry, Al. I said it was decades ago. I'm not sure now it's the same.
Yeah, there was it was in the news lately. There's been some change to the Section 56.
Big change, big change. It's
Yeah.
no longer as accessible to patients like myself as it was decades ago because I think I've probably done a little too much trouble, caused a little too much trouble over the years.
Oh.
Oh,
Well, not just you, but I mean, there's been, like several other people that we just cited. Like, like we'll go, well, there's a Section 56 under, on the charter, and people pick up on that information when you start spreading education. It just
you
kind of goes
bet.
out.
Yeah.
Again, Al and Tamara, the Special Access Program or the SAP program is still pretty good for people who want access to these different substances. It used to be that, again, people like me went through the Section 56 of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act to make sure that we not only had possession being allowed, but consumption and a source, like Al said. So we had all these things that we were dealing with back then with cannabis. Well, now we're doing the same with all these other substances. And again, that's been my fight for over 30 years as a retired law enforcement officer. So again, medically, I would like for it to continue as we are and get it done.
Yeah, I agree.
Needs to be done. Something needs to be done. You know, it would be a big change to those who are on the street that are addicted, where they could get safe access without the stigma and all that
Respect.
Yeah, exactly. With respect to them,
Well, there's dignity. Like there's stuff.
Yeah.
Again, with a disease, it's a substance abuse disease.
Yeah.
It's a disease. It's not like people don't understand that. It's a health issue. It's not a justice issue, and we need to treat it as such.
You know, I will say quickly again that I absolutely love Neil Magnuson and Glenn Wells for what they're doing in BC, because of the fact that they are actually acknowledging people who have substance abuse issues. They're actually giving them free cannabis, and that to me is just unbelievably heroic. That's unbelievable that they're going out of their way to help people they don't even know. Neil Magnuson, again, my heart. I've known him for, again, well over 25 years. And boy, oh boy, do I love that man from head to toe.
And he's battling cancer.
I know. I talked to him. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Neil, if you're out there, honey, we love you.
Yeah. And mention Chris Backer, too, who's out in Nova Scotia.
Yes, and Chris, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one here in Ontario as well, someplace.
So many.
There's a few. There's a couple more in Vancouver in this area.
I love it. I love it.
And I think that's a base program that should be, it's keeping up with the donations. I think it's really hard for people to access the donations too, right? Because to give it away, unless you know somebody who's growing that has extra that can, donate, right? That's been a barrier for a lot of people too, right?
Yeah.
You bet.
All righty. Time for us to take a break. When we get back, we'll continue our talk with our guest, Alison Myrden. This is the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and on our YouTube channel as well. See you in about 3 minutes.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor? If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection. We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have 2 lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, welcome back. You're watching the Pace Radio Show, and we are live with our guest, Alison Myrden. Well, ladies, before the break, we're talking about access to, basically all drugs and decriminalization in general. So when it comes to decriminalization, one of the things usually with them is the fact that, with cannabis, with decriminalization, there would be no source. There would be no law or reduced laws against it. How would they deal with that in this end of things with the psilocybin and the other drugs? Would they rely on a pharmaceutical source, or would companies, start producing? What do you think?
From what I understand, I know as a medical patient, Filament is the go-to company for medicine for people with licenses or special access program licenses through Health Canada.
Okay.
So they're actually the link through Health Canada. So legally, I'm not sure what they'd use as a source, but I do know that there are other places across Canada who've been growing, who definitely want to make sure that they can get in on this, game early.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, I would imagine I think opening it up the way they did like cannabis is probably not what they're going to do right away.
No.
I remember Paul Lewin my lawyer saying years ago that just because they might legalize psilocybin or magic mushrooms doesn't mean they're ready to ram a big mushroom truck through the door, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So
I think they probably would have. I think they probably learned from the experience of the cannabis end of things, and I can see where they would want to.
There's also big mushroom producers that are growing like Money's mushrooms and mushrooms on like an agricultural basis where it's going to the grocery stores.
Yes.
Mushrooms again are an agricultural based thing.
Farmers. Right? Exactly. Yeah. Open it up.
And I looked, cannabis is no longer on the CDSA. It's already been removed off the CDSA.
Beautiful.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
I was not aware.
When the Cannabis Act was so cannabis can't be removed. It already has been. Because I did some research, doing some for my show. So if psilocybin then is taken off the CDSA the same way and regulated the same way as cannabis and becomes an agricultural issue,
it does,
right? So again, cannabis too, in the long run, has been taken off the CDSA, is not being taken into effect as a drug per se anymore. Psilocybin needs to be looked at the same way. It's still a plant.
Psilocybin is less harmful than cannabis and less addictive. People have to do their homework.
Again, the producers already in the agriculture business. Why couldn't they just put a row of magic mushrooms in with the Money's mushrooms?
The big thing about cannabis is the smoking. The smoking.
Yes.
You're not smoking.
Can I just say quickly that a lot of people, Al, think that my throat is from smoking cannabis? It's so not. No. I had emergency throat surgery a couple of years ago, and I couldn't talk at all after that. So now it's just coming back. So I'm excited that my voice sounds like this. Anyway, but smoking, you bet. Smoking is not at all a good probably thing to do, but smoking is the fastest route of administration when you consume cannabis.
Yeah, and you just don't smoke
cigarettes and cannabis for 35 years, and I don't know. I think it's just people have misconceptions of a lot of things.
Well, you gotta think that you take a cannabis plant and you grow in your yard, you got this plant material there. you take a cigarette and you empty out that cigarette and you look at it on the table and you know that thing has been through process. It's got
Yeah, a
other
little
stuff
different.
cracked. It's got all kinds of things
Like
added to
tobacco in
it.
a natural form is still just a plant.
Right.
You know
That's
what?
right.
I used to smoke tobacco decades ago. I quit in 1999 because I was smoking so much cannabis that I didn't want to. Well, actually, I couldn't smoke both because I was smoking so much cannabis. So I ended up quitting smoking tobacco. But I probably won't say much about it other than that because I am a former smoker, tobacco smoker. But I
Yeah.
do know that for me, it was probably one of the better things that I did was
Well, I
when I
think
quit.
what I was mentioning today too, that a lot of people said they quit smoking back in like the 60s and the 70s cold turkey. Well, that's because the cigarettes didn't have formaldehyde and carbon monoxide and all the things that they pump into the cigarettes now. So it was easier to quit that many years ago because it wasn't toxic, poison, addicting like they are now, right? And that's why they pumped all this crap into them so they could make us addicted
Well,
to them.
people are
Funny,
worried
I
about
actually
cannabis.
I went on a medication because I wanted to quit smoking so badly. There was a medication called Zyban that was in Canada at the time. And little did I know it was taken off the market probably within 6 months of me going on it. But I quit. After 30 days, I never wanted tobacco again.
Yeah.
Yeah, again.
So, but I knew the side effects weren't good. So I was glad I got off it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the broadcast where we talked a bit about the Global Marijuana March. And the fact that you were at the first march there. You were, one of the first 5 people.
We
that
brought
went
it together to Toronto.
Right. And, over the years, you've seen it escalate to being huge. Remember the days of the stages and this bands and the vendors.
There's still vendors, but they're coming back fast. There are a few sprouting up now, but boy, there were more this year than there were last year.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said exactly the same thing. We all agreed.
We're back.
Yeah, we had a meeting afterwards, and we all agreed that, there was more vendors this year.
You bet.
And I don't know if you noticed. I don't know whether you talked to the people from Pad H. Were there Parents Against Driving High? They were.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They were there. Talking about what they do, the education that they offer, and one of the things that they do with, they raise money and stuff, and they push responsible use of cannabis. Okay, they're not against cannabis use. They push responsible use of it. Of course, they advocate for people not to drive high, which is that's what their thing is. As far as what they're doing. And but what they also do is they go to events such as the Global Marijuana March, or they went to shows in Toronto. They've gone to events in Toronto, and they offer free rides home.
Wow.
For people who feel that they're too high.
Terrific.
And they'll give them a ride home. Yeah.
Wow. Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. I've talked to them a few times. And
aren't people incredible?
Yeah. They're not out. The thing is that some people might look at them as being a group that I use this as an example. In Quebec, when legalized cannabis came in, they used promotional stuff. And it said cannabis won't do this, and what they did is it had everybody with stretched necks.
Oh.
Yeah. And they had somebody with ears, like horse ears or donkey ears on it. It was ridiculous, right? They don't use anything like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there are so many, like, even some of the commercials they got on TV, from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Don't drink and be high, and they got this joint bouncing around and with a beer can, and it's kind of like
Don't treat people
Yeah.
like they're children.
Yeah.
Treat people with respect.
Yeah, there's
And
no
actually, if you tell
Right.
us the truth, it's amazing how far that'll go.
right. Like, what's wrong with just saying, hey, like, we know the repercussions of drinking and under the influence, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, what do we have to add the doobie to it?
Yep. Exactly.
I on the way home from the march on Saturday, there was all request Saturday night on our local radio station.
Right.
So the somebody had called in and they had talked about being stoned and they were all type speaking, right? And so I called in, and obviously like, these little segments when people call in, they're recorded, and then they play them when they get to them. And so I called in and I said, "Hey, I'm just coming home from the Global Marijuana March." And I thought he might ask me, "Well, why would you be marching for legalizing cannabis when cannabis is legal in Canada?" But he didn't ask me that. He asked me, where did I stop for my munchies on the way home?
That's because nobody's informed. They just don't have the brain power to ask
Or
that.
maybe they do know. Maybe they just didn't need an answer.
Well, it sounds like the guy was like totally ill-informed.
No,
Because I did
yeah.
the first global marijuana march ever in Lethbridge, Alberta, too, in 2008. Right, we were
Yeah.
the first ones. We showed up in the front.
Good
step.
for you.
There
Good
was
for
like
you.
We ended up being 50, and then the next year it was, quite 200, I think.
Excellent.
Right,
That's how you
I
do
did one
it.
here. When I first moved here too, we did a couple here too. So, but we only had like 6 or 10 people here.
Right
But
on.
again,
Hey,
people just don't do things like that here. It's like,
you know what? The power of one, sweetheart. The power of one.
right?
Yeah,
We've
oh
always
yeah,
said one person with a sign in the middle of the road
yeah,
can make a
I've
difference.
done it. I've
yeah.
done
Well,
it, honey.
yeah,
Many times.
exactly. Justin Louses, he did the
Yeah, Justin, you bet.
sessions
You
in the
did a
street.
such. I was just gonna say that.
Right? We did that
Right
Stop
on.
Harper protest in Lethbridge with 3 of us.
Right on. See,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Right? Like there's so many of us that have we're not in Toronto. We're not in Vancouver, right? There's so many pockets of
Yeah.
activists across this country that make a
You
difference.
bet.
When they're just 4 or 5 of them doing something. Right?
You bet.
Yeah, no,
You bet.
you said there was you, Neve, Stephen, was
Dominic
there?
Kramer.
Okay, no, it was that first march.
Yeah, Dominic Kramer, and then myself and Gary.
Oh,
And
okay,
the
all right.
5 of us marched the streets of Toronto.
I was thinking Terry was there because I was going to say.
Oh,
Was,
no.
no.
I didn't know Terry then. I didn't know Jim Wakeford then either, which goes way back, a blast from the past.
Yeah.
So I actually, Terry and I were talking. This is a little kind of off topic in one respect, but a cute story for you guys. Terry and I were talking at the march on Saturday, and we were talking about way back when, 100 years ago, when all these people, specifically that big march, when all the people came, and we were all sitting around the base of the statue in the middle of Queen's Park. And Jim Wakeford, before there was a statue there, it was just a big hill that went up, just like a big triangle almost, or upside down triangle. Anyway, and then, or a triangle, I should say. It ended up Jim was sitting at the top of this hill, and I have no idea how I got the energy, but I marched up that hill. I have no idea to this day how. And I said to Jim, "Hi, Jim Wakeford." Jim had been in the paper. He was an AIDS patient who was fighting the cannabis laws, but he got caught. So he was now under arrest for growing cannabis. And so Jim was out again at the march to show people that he wasn't going to give up. So I marched up this hill and I went up to him and I said, "Jim Wakeford," I said, "my name is Alison Myrden." I said, "And don't you worry." I said, "You'll never have to be alone again." And he looks at me and he goes, "Kid," he goes, "this will be the loneliest road you ever go down." And I said, "Jim, that's why I invited all my friends." And we never looked back.
Right.
So I told him then.
It sort of picks up across the country, right? And there are people everywhere across this country that
Yes,
believe
sweetie.
this should have been legal, and that's why it is legal. Now, like I said, there are pockets of it that's not great, and we don't like. But as me and Al were going through the recommendations, the crime rates are down 95.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right on.
People aren't getting arrested. That 60,000 just that
And
first
you know what?
year. Or two.
They're not going to jail
Right
for 14
on.
years. If you get caught selling to a minor, there's a
Yes.
$1,000 fine. There's fines attached. You have to be like growing like way over to go to jail for 14 years. They're not putting people in jail for 14 years either. There are fines attached. If kids are caught, minors are caught too, it's a fine. It's not like we
Something that they hold as a threat
that
over
there's no
everybody's
like,
head.
and I got all of this off the
Can you
Canadian
believe
government
this, Al?
justice page. This all came off the government of Canada's justice page. It's all there. It's not like I read it on Google. It's not like it was some internet fucking blah blah on TikTok.
You know what, Tamara?
Something off the government of Canada.
I am so happy, sweetheart. I'm sorry to cut you off because Al and I 100 years ago didn't have these options, right? They weren't available for us then. If you were caught with cannabis, you were in trouble.
I know, I did. I did 4 grams. I did 6 months house arrest for 4
exactly.
grams.
Yeah.
So again, I know
what a
so
difference.
that's why
honey.
I keep watching and wanting to know what's going on because I don't want to
Yes.
ever. I've got a child in my house that needs it for sleep, right?
Yep. You
and
bet.
there's no doctor that's going to sign him. So do I have to be concerned about my own ability to be able to be his mom? You know, like
You
so
bet.
I've got to check on these things. Right.
Yeah.
You know, again, good for you for keeping abreast of it, hon, because we all have to know. That's excellent.
But again,
Good.
it wasn't a TikTok. It was actually the government of Canada's justice page.
No, I believe you 100%, sweetie. I just said to Al, my God, I can't believe things have changed that much.
Right.
And we've all been fighting a long time, but yay.
Now, I guess I always still got 9 minutes. I got a minute or two before I'll play that. Where was I going to go now?
Back to the Global Marijuana March.
Global Marijuana March, yes. There it is. Yeah. In the old day, like you mentioned earlier, the group this year there was more people in the march. There was more vendors in the march, and as usual, when the march got started, as soon as the light went green at the intersection, Alison puts her foot in it, and that wheelchair, the wheels are smoking, and she's going up the road, right? And everybody's going, oh, there she goes. There she goes.
You know, honestly, I don't even think about it every year, Al. I just do it. It's just automatic for me to be in the road. I'm not on the sidewalk.
Well, you know, for years you were. For years there was that many people that we had to be on the road, right? There's no way we fit in the song. Now, I did delete this earlier because I thought I was done running the promos for the Global Marijuana March. But I'm gonna run this one, and this will go back. This explains some of what we were talking about. You'll see it's a bit of one of those memories, right? It'll probably end up being one of those taste memories in the end. So here we go. But there you go. You can see in the pictures how full the street was with the amount of people that were attending the march. Right?
There were a lot of us. A lot of us. Honey, we can do it again, too.
Yes, I agree. And, you know, the committee this year looked at it as it's a start of a rebuild because of the fact that, you know, we went through the COVID and you know, cannabis legalization is, you know, some people think, well, why do you need to protest when cannabis is legal? Well, it's not legal globally. People are still being hung in Singapore and other countries.
They sure are, my friend. And that's the big problem, Al, is that people don't realize. I remember last year we were marching for the Global Marijuana March, and that's exactly what people were saying to us. Why are you marching? It's legal in Canada. And every single time somebody said that, my answer was just like you, but it's not legal globally.
Yeah.
And I've again been fighting that since I was young too, because I always felt it was never just Canada that should, have access to cannabis. It just so happened that Canada, we won first as far as having the right to consume it legally. But ultimately, again, anywhere in the world you decide to go, especially if you go on holiday tomorrow, or you, Al, somewhere, you want to be able to consume cannabis without fearing the face of arrest.
And that's exactly what one of the persons who I interviewed said, that they want to be able to go to other countries to be able to use cannabis if they traveled there. I haven't got a clue who she was.
Right?
I never asked her name.
Funny, yeah.
Problem. Like, we have to worry about even like domestically. If we didn't have a license, you
betcha. You betcha.
Again, like, if you're a patient and you can't go to a country where you can legally access your medicine because you can't take it with you because it's not. It would be.
You can't even federally go to the U.S.
Right.
You can't even cross the border with cannabis on you.
Yeah.
And that's another reason I'm fighting this.
That would be a charge, right? You get charged.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
There might be. Well, as you know, they're rescheduling. I'm sure you're aware. They're looking at rescheduling in the U.S., which doesn't legalize. It doesn't legalize it, but we had a report on the news on Monday that there has been. It's called the COA Act, and I just can't remember what the actual words are. And it's for legalizing cannabis. And Cory Booker and some other senators have put this forward to legalize cannabis.
Right.
And as we know, for the last several years, there's been the Safe and the Safer Banking Act. So really right now in legislation on the U.S. end of things, there is something to legalize it and to deal with the banking. Now, whether it ever passes or anywhere, who knows, but it's there.
Al, they have to do
medical use.
Yeah, I was just going to say they have to do something. 2005, I was in Boston for a conference for LEAP. And it was a police conference, and I went down to Boston and I took my mom, and I almost couldn't get back into Canada because they had claimed that I was on the terrorism list and that I was a terrorist from the American embassy. The orders came down to not let me back in their country and not allow me into Canada, but arrest me right then and there. And it was only because of the activism that I was doing in 2005. That was it. And it ended up, like I said, because of that, we ended up, as soon as I came back into Canada in 2005, I already knew that it had to be legal in the U.S. in order for me to go there. But now I knew then, they told me never to come back, and I wasn't going to attempt it. But also, again, I knew that even more so that cannabis had to be legalized federally so that people would not, like me, run into these problems.
Yeah,
I would never even attempt to go across the line because of my charges. I wouldn't even attempt.
Well, just
exactly.
People have been turned away at the border.
That's so sad.
Not because they use cannabis or been charged in the past, but because they wrote articles about cannabis.
It's like me with my activism, though. I didn't do anything. I was never. I'm a corrections officer. I didn't do anything to break the law, except again activism.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, and that's enough for them to deny somebody entry. Now, being denied entry,
so.
Yeah, it's is are you really a threat? Am I, because somebody's had a record? Like, I know a person with got arrested with three joints. Friggin', well, I'm gonna say almost 40 years ago. And they still have problems going across the board.
Shocking, literally. But you know what? That's again why we fight, though, Al, all of us, because this is not acceptable.
They can export cannabis from our big producers to Germany, to Israel, to Australia.
$250 million worth, I think.
Oh, I know. I've seen,
Because the food producers do not want to pay Canada's excise taxes.
No.
So they're sending it elsewhere.
Yeah, and the other elsewhere is buying it, right?
Yep. Edibles are all coming out of Cranbrook, BC from Dykar. It's all hitting the German market.
Wow.
And the Israeli market. And I heard that right from the guy that owns it.
Wow.
Now are they I'm assuming if they're being produced here, are they still limited to 10 milligrams? Or can they make the higher milligrams?
That's our fight, though, Al.
But in Germany's medical cannabis industry, is it restricted to only like 2%? Maybe it's only 0.3% THC content.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, I'm not sure
what the European market is.
I would have no idea what that would be all into the European market.
Yeah.
If there was more than 10 milligrams they were allowed, then yeah, they'd be producing more than that.
You could be able to produce it. Our laws wouldn't prevent them from producing it because they're not selling it in our market.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There goes my puppy. All right. Top of the hour. You hold that thought.
I will.
Okay. All righty. Off we go. We'll be right back. And everybody's gonna check out our sponsors and find out who supports us here on the Pace Radio Network. You're listening, or as we do now, we're watching Pace Radio Show here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back, and thanks for watching the Pace Radio Show with our guest, Alison Myrden. Let's see. We got 20 minutes here, 25 minutes. We've been talking about your access to psilocybin, and we've been talking about the Global Marijuana March. What else you've been doing? We haven't talked about that. Like, you going to any concerts or, events?
Oh, always live music. Always live music. 'Tis the season, my friends.
Right. It is.
Actually, we hang out with some local musicians who some of you may know, the Killing Time Band guys. And they're doing live music here in the city of Burlington starting June 5th. Different bands are taking part in something called Live at the Apollo. And the Apollo is Apollo Road here in Burlington. And they have it in the driveway of a home. And 300 to 400 people come from the neighborhoods around and pull up lawn chairs and grass and sit on the boulevard and on their own yards, on their own lawns. And everybody dances and listens to music.
That sounds cool.
So, yeah, we had that for, I think, an hour and a half every second Friday night. So it's something to do. I go and spin up a mean, cut a mean pavement in my wheelchair. So I do a lot of dancing there. And I'm actually just really pleased how many people are dancing along with us. Because, as you know, music gets you going.
Yeah, exactly. And it brings people together.
You betcha. You betcha. And that's, again, other than marches and protests, we don't have that much planned for this year as far as protesting and marches. Because, again, I'm waiting for hopefully something to happen with my lawsuit. And then we can plan a protest. My lawyers always told me I couldn't help anybody unless I was legal first. And I never thought about that years ago.
Yeah,
That was the best advice Michelle Rainey ever gave me.
She told you that?
Because if you are legal, you can be louder. That was the best advice she ever gave me.
Most definitely. Yeah, in that respect. Yes, most definitely. I find with me it's more that I need to be legal for psilocybin in order to be heard more. Because that gets global attention. Because everybody right now is following us to find out what's happening with this issue. So, and I'm pretty loud all around the world. So I'm not afraid to tell everybody whether or not I'm having a good or bad day and exactly why. So, again.
Well, they need to see the reality of the difference, what pain is and when it's not. Right?
But I think people also need to know that you're right, though, sweetheart. But a lot of people will never understand what I deal with. And that's okay. Because we all have our crosses to bear, whether they be mental, physical, or emotional. We're all carrying something. And we all need medicine of some sort. So again, what I'm trying to do is just teach the world that all of these substances can be used as good medicine. Again, because I've had things like heroin and cocaine given to me medically by doctors when I was young, I know exactly what those substances are like. And I don't necessarily want them for me, but I do know if other people choose them medically, why they are. So it makes a lot more sense to me. Again, I went back in school, and took a lot of these things in school just to make sure that I understood exactly why in college, when I was there, what was going on with me medically with all the pills and all these other substances. Sorry, Al, go ahead.
Oh no, it's my fault. I'm like that. I just want to get it. Some people can have a long answer, right? And then by the time they get down the answer, you forget that you wanted to say something about something that's at the beginning, right?
So true. I'm so sorry, darling.
No problem. That's why I sometimes try to jump in there, because
I understand.
Yeah. Because now that's happened.
These substances, though, honestly, again, I want people to know, I know Pace Radio is about cannabis, and cannabis, again, is really good medicine for everybody.
Yeah, and we also have some shows that broadcast on the psychedelic end of things.
Yes.
Right now, our Sunday broadcast is taking a bit of a break. Ashley, our host, she's down in Humboldt County in California.
Oh,
I'm sure
right.
everybody's heard of that place. And so she's down there right now, and not with very good internet. And she's working on that, and she'll be back. And then on Tuesday, we've got 2 broadcasts on the psychedelic end. That's the Mushy Moments. And Cindy has renamed her broadcast, and she's added psychedelics to her show at 6 o'clock. And it's now called Your Evening Medicine Show.
Very good. I'll
And
have to
she'll be
tune
talking.
in.
Yeah, so she'll be talking about psychedelics as well. I know during our news show, which is called the Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News broadcast, LSD lately has, there's been studies coming out on it to help people with sleep, and I believe pain as well. Like, it's just like, that was like stuff that 40 years ago for me, right? And now to see all these things coming out, right? On the benefits of it is pretty wild to see all this stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny because, again, a couple of years ago, I went through a really big bout with LSD, and I was taking 4 and 5 tabs a day trying to get relief from this pain. So, but again, for me, it's something where I don't want to keep taking all those things. I wasn't getting any residual effects from them at all, like nothing. I was just getting relief from the pain. But I didn't want to have to keep taking 4 and 5 tabs a day, to try and feel better, when I knew as at that time that psilocybin or magic mushrooms, I could drink a tea, and if I drank it fast, I'd have no pain for a little bit, and then I could eat the mushrooms right after and keep the pain away for a couple hours. So that was the difference between LSD and psilocybin for me. Again, it's all about choice. Right?
Yeah.
We're not telling anybody to do anything.
And it might work for you. It might not work for everybody the way it works for you either, because we're all individuals. Same with cannabis, right?
Exactly.
And that's the way, we have to keep, recommending, but also telling you that don't be offended if it doesn't work for you, because it might right?
Yeah.
There are things
I've talked to people who said cannabis didn't work for them.
I've talked to people who said they've been allergic to it as well.
Yeah.
So
I've got people like myself. I don't do well with psilocybin. It makes me sick. I don't react well to it. And I've tried microdosing. I've tried several different. It's just not for me. And I advocate for it though. Like I always mention need help with getting access to it. I'm a full advocate for it. It just doesn't.
It's the world's best antidepressant to begin with, people.
See, I don't need antidepressants, right? Like I've never taken
it.
Right?
It is all over the news on the end of being antidepressant.
But again, like I said, if you don't need antidepressants, like I don't need to take it. I don't.
You're like
take
me,
right? I don't need.
Yeah, you're like me.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
but you know what? For people who do, though, and even
absolutely.
for people again like me who are in pain, it's hard to be in this much pain and not be depressed. They tell me. I remember when I was a teenager, doctors used to say, "Oh my gosh, let me give you something for depression. You must be so depressed." I was like, "No, I just would smoke and I'd be okay."
Yeah, like I just
smoke cannabis.
Yeah,
like alcohol is a depressant.
Yes.
And that's one of the worst things I'm sure that someone who's dealing with depression can do is to drink because of it being a depressant.
You betcha. Yeah.
Do you see who's over my shoulder? Do you see that?
No, my darling. I only see a
you would know her.
Yes, I sure do. That beautiful soul, Michelle Rainey.
She's on every broadcast with me.
Wow.
She sits there. I just thought, Alison would know who she is.
Can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
Michelle contacted me decades ago when she first came out in the cannabis movement, and she actually we connected, and she was such a sweetheart that soon after that I was going to a cannabis conference with Raphael Mechalom and Ethan Russo in Cornwall, Ontario. Was the first one in Canada in 1999. and I needed money to go, and I had written Mark Emery, and I had phoned, and I said, please, I need money to go. Somebody help me. So Michelle, next thing you know, there was an envelope in my door, coming through my door from, I guess, Mark Emery originally, but it was 10 $100 bills, and it had Michelle Rainey's red lipstick marks all over the envelope.
No.
And I wish I would have kept that envelope. I don't know what happened to it. But I just love Michelle.
I think I still have her business card in my...
She said she became an activist because of the work I was doing in Ontario. So God bless her soul. So,
I know the first time I saw her speak, and that was at a cannabis awareness
incredible.
Put on by Treating Yourself magazine. And I saw her up there speaking about Crohn's disease. And I thought to myself, I can do that. Like, who would ever thought that people would sit around and listen to somebody having problems taking a crap? Like, really?
Yes.
You know, like.
But we are interested in that. That's a really cool thing.
People that have the same afflictions that we have. Those
bet.
Like, there's MS support groups and all kinds of support
you
groups for people that, you know, if they want to gather with other people that have afflictions. We tried getting one together for, like, you know, we've got another girl here in town. She's got MS, like cannabis users, like support group for
yes.
Nobody wanted to do that. We're like, maybe it was because during COVID and stuff.
You know what, though? I will tell you one thing about MS. When I was young and I got diagnosed with MS in my late 20s, the doctor said to me, do not ever go to an MS group or an MS meeting or whatever. And I was like, why not? And they said, because you're way too happy. Everybody there is really depressed.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, thanks for the heads up.
I mean, you get diagnosed, but what are you supposed to do?
Exactly. Well, I wasn't. But see, that's the thing, though. When I got diagnosed, I became proactive and I became an activist. So I don't know what everybody else does, but that's what I thought you were to do, right? I thought you were to get out there and fight. So that's just what I knew. So I didn't know to turtle him, you know, end up folding up, and, you know, I did like I didn't know any of that. So.
And you haven't stopped.
No, I haven't.
You haven't stopped. No, exactly.
No. I have purpose, my friends. I have purpose. Purposeless, I call it.
Well, you know, when something works and works for you or helps you,
bet.
And others are demonizing it, like people in authority positions.
You bet.
People tend to speak up, right? So
that's why we do. You're so right.
I think it makes me sick when I hear the opposition party leader stand in, you know, Parliament and, you know, make such the worst accusations about people with addiction issues. Like, just.
But it's the conservatives again. And can I say that literally this has been a problem with Tamara for decades with the conservatives with these issues.
I absolutely know that. And then we were there with Harper, and, you know, him wanting to take our grows away, and where we got the hours ruling, and, you know, with the kitty litter and all that stuff that we had to go through. And that was humiliation for patients. You know,
you know what?
Waiting for
Don't take it like that. Don't take it like that, because I was not humiliated at all tomorrow. All it did was give me strength to say, you, my friends, need to get educated.
Oh,
that's all it did for me. Again, it fueled me, right?
I just have, I totally fought back. But again, how much humiliation do they want to put on sick people? That's what I mean. Like, it's not that we were humiliated, but again, they don't look at us as we're people. People with disabilities, people with afflictions, people with diseases. They don't look at us like we're people.
Yeah.
Different.
I remember Debbie Salskiffen. I love you, Debbie. Debbie had said years ago that why in the world she couldn't understand why the government was making us jump through these hoops.
Right.
And I remember thinking, when we were in Hissigatoll years ago together, the lawsuit, Alan Young approached me, and I went out. I thought Alan wanted it to to just be me and him in the lawsuit. And I was like, wait a second, this isn't about MS at all. It was about cannabis at the time. And they wanted one particular illness to fight in court. And I said, no, that's not right. So I brought in 8 people. I phoned Alan after I phoned and contacted all 8 people, including Debbie. And I said, hey, you guys, come in a lawsuit with me. And they said, does the lawyer know? And I said, not yet, but he will. So all of a sudden 8 of us go to court. I think it was 7 that I brought in, and then there was an 8th person who came in after. But bottom line, we ended up doing Hitsig et al., which was Hitsig, I guess, versus Canada now. And that, my friends, is still in Wikipedia because we made a big introduction then to the world to tell everybody that it was all different illnesses, like you, Tamara, and like you, Al, and like me. It wasn't just about one of us, right?
Well, that's exactly what happened with the B1. Nobody didn't have cancer, MS, or some other form of severe arthritis, I think, could get even
exactly
cannabis, right? And then, because of Michelle, I'm fighting for, the Crohn's disease affliction, which opened up the B2 section
yes.
of the, licensing application, which was 38 fucking pages, to be fair.
I
know. Right? 30. Now it's 11. So to be fair, the ACMPR is 11 pages comparably to the MMAR.
And I still can't get into the ACMPR
and
tomorrow.
38 of those pages were repetitively of your fucking address and phone number over and over. And make sure you sign the bottom of every fucking page.
Yeah.
Like
you know what?
You can have your application sent back for. If you didn't sign your name to the bottom of every fucking 38 pages, they return it back and say it was incomplete. How many of these?
Again, I can't even get into the regular program in Canada now for cannabis because my limits are too high. I don't want any pills. Well, I take pills, but I don't want as many pills as they want me to take. I would rather have cannabis, and they're saying, no, your limit is too high. You're not welcome
they
in
took
this
mine
program.
Back. They told me it was due to affordability. So when I went and got an MMAR, or whatever, through this
grow your own
Namaste whatever it was.
Oh.
They wouldn't give me a grow license, right? All through the LP, and they wouldn't give me my full licensing of 20 grams. They only give me 15 because how was I going to afford it?
Wow!
This was the registered nurse.
Whose business is it of theirs?
It was this cannabis 420 whatever. They had they knocked mine back to 15 because they told me that it was affordability and they didn't want
Wow.
Yeah.
Not fair. I've had family and friends who've helped me all my life. That is not fair.
Right? It's another business how I afford it. And then my family doctor then signed me here in Cranbrook. And then we went back for our renewals. They said, sorry. Or she said, sorry, you can get 30 grams at the store every day. Why would I sign you up for any?
What?
Our GP wouldn't have licenses.
Are you kidding me?
No. So
this is why we have to fight these things that are going on with this cannabis program in Canada, the Cannabis Act. None of this is acceptable for any patient.
Well, it's not the Cannabis Act. It's the College of Physicians still, Alison. It's still the College.
Oh, it is. Sorry, controlling this. You're right. I apologize.
But it's really got nothing to do with the Cannabis Act. Cannabis Act
that's true.
Got nothing to do with it. My doctor just said, you can go into a store and pick up 30 grams. Why would I prescribe you 20?
Yeah, no, that's true. I can see. Right? It's the College of Physicians.
And that's why there's no point in me renewing this for you. She didn't understand the whole.
That's ridiculous.
Right?
You have to.
Yeah, if you can't, how are you going to be able to afford to grow? They ask the question: how can you afford to grow that much grammage? How can you afford to go to the store and buy it?
Right.
Exactly.
You couldn't afford to go
more.
Like your 4 plants are not going to grow you 30 grams of cannabis a day.
Not even close.
30 grams of cannabis a day at a store, but you're not allowed to grow enough plants to be able to supply yourself 30 grams of cannabis a day because there's no way 4 plants are going to ever do that.
And that's what I'm saying.
An ounce a day, you're going to need to grow 200 plants, if not.
But you know what? As a patient, there's a different program, Tamara. Because you can get as many plants as your doctor says. You're not limited to 4.
Oh, I know that if I had.
Oh yeah, medical.
So yeah, I don't want people
I
to
got the doctor that's
misunderstand.
going to sign the paperwork that I got to send to Health Canada.
Yeah.
I had an MMAR. Got my first
Yeah, with the
MMAR.
medical license is different.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I've had them. Right.
Yeah.
I had a grow license for 20 grams a day, both me and Alvin both. Right.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
But
Well, you can't get them without paying for them, and you have to have a
Yeah.
doctor to sign them. Same.
Wow.
And the doctor
You have
won't
to pay
sign
your
it.
doctor?
Any of them. If you want a license, you pay them.
Wow.
Same as it always was, Allison. Nothing-
Wow. I have never paid my doctors, nor would I ever pay my doctors. This is
My
a medical
family doctor,
issue.
no. My family doctor, when she signed us up when we moved to Cranbrook, no. But she wouldn't renew because of the legalization. But if I want to get a grow license through any of these other things, it's still going to cost me at
Right.
least $25 per gram.
What?
$25 a gram.
Yeah.
Wow, that is not right. That's just
That's the way
not
it was
right,
before.
Tamara.
I paid Dr. Kammerman when I first got my first MMAR in 2012.
Yeah, I've
Still
never
good.
paid any doctor ever.
Yeah,
I never would.
It's illegal for them to charge us. They aren't supposed to be charging us. But if you want a grow license, all these online ones, they won't give you one because the
Yeah,
LPs
I
are
knew
taking
that.
right?
I did
The
know
LPs are
that,
taking back
sweetheart,
the- You don't have to pay them for your license. These whatever.
That is so unfair.
As long as you're not getting a grow license, you want a grow license from them, they want $850.
Yeah, that's just not right.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure. We are one of our sponsors, Limestone City Hydroponics in Kingston. They have a medical signing clinic there, and the fee is the doctors have a fee because if the doctor's not able to charge wherever, like I don't know where some doctors are located. For some clinics to be out west, and they can't bill the Ontario end of things, so they have to charge a fee, right?
Yep. Yeah, they can't charge MSP or whatever for it, so they charge you. And the thing of it is, like, most of them aren't even doctors. Most of them are just nurse practitioners that are signing for you, and they're charging. Yep. And
I had no clue.
So if you want 20 grams, you're going to be paying $25 per gram. That's whatever, $500, $600, whatever.
Yeah, but if people's family doctors would go ahead and sign them, and OHIP would pay them to do that, that would be a lot nicer, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like I know that some things should go to the doctors. There's paperwork that the OHIP doesn't cover.
That you pay for. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
You pay
sure.
for. And
it was $35 for admit fee.
I can understand where a doctor with the MMAR days charge somebody a few dollars to do their paperwork. Like my doctor charged me $50 that first year.
Yeah,
and then he never charged me. He's never charged me since. So it's like I'm paying like $1 a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I was just thinking because I just a few months ago did my taxes and I applied for the medical disability again, the disability tax in Canada, and I didn't realize I'd already had it for the 80s, which that's why I didn't realize I had it because it was so long ago. But anyway, when I applied for it, they said it was going to be $225. My doctor's office said to get the paperwork signed, and I was in tears. I couldn't believe that they would make somebody who's already marginally sort of in a different position than most others pay $225 to get a disability tax form filled out. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, it turned out that apparently it is covered on disability, and I didn't know that. But boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, I was panicked for a few days there before I found out.
My doctor charged me $40 to have mine filled out.
I can't believe that.
That's reasonable. Yeah. If they can't get that through their fees to the government, then charging somebody some money to do it, it's $225. To charge them outrageous fees.
I was devastated. Yeah. Like I thought, oh my God, how do people again in these positions live nowadays? If that's the case.
Well, yeah, like if it takes a doctor. It takes a doctor 10 minutes to fill out a form. Why are they charging $225?
Well, not this form. Apparently, this form's a number of pages. So, because my doctor's office alerted me to that. But at the same time, I'm thinking getting back to cannabis is the same kind of thing because I can't even afford to buy my cannabis in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, how the heck am I supposed to pay for a disability tax credit? See, these are the things. Cannabis, again, is now finally, the price is finally dropping over the last few years because it's legal.
Yeah.
But before we did that, everybody, well, boy, I'll tell you, remember how we all lived? And how we couldn't afford some of those prices because they were asking outlandish prices for pounds of cannabis.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Unbelievable. So thank goodness, at least there's something good about what's happening in this country.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's positive, but hey.
All righty, ladies.
I mean, it uses that much cannabis, right?
Yeah. I see that we're at the bottom of the hour. We've run our time. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on? No? Okay. Shout out.
I just want to say one quick thing that I would really appreciate if everybody stayed tuned to what's going on in my world, because of the fact that, again, I'm fighting for psilocybin in Canada as medicine. And as soon as I can get legal, things are going to change just a little tiny bit.
I guess so. Exactly. So where would you be announcing something like that?
I'm all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I can't even think of everything. Pretty much everything out there. All social media. Plus on my website at AlisonMyrden.com. AlisonMyrden.com or .ca. I'm everywhere.
All right, there you go. Tamara?
Thanks for being on the show. It was good seeing you. You look terrific. And
you're beautiful.
And I just appreciate everything that you do and just keep on being you. Thanks for being on the show.
Right, exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Alison, for coming on the broadcast. It was great seeing you on Saturday in person and seeing people there and seeing new people there, because the new people are the next generation that have to be doing what we're doing.
Every year, hopefully, there's going to be more and more and more of us.
That's right. Exactly. All right. You can find the Pace Radio Show on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're online, paceradio.net. Thanks go out to our sponsors, the friendly folks at legacy420.com, Limestone City Hydroponics, .ca, as well as the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. And huge thank you to our guest, Alison Myrden, for coming on the broadcast. And to all our watchers and listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next week. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.